Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around the Arsenal transfer market. There is a lot going on in terms of outgoings and also incomings, but to be honest, it is not as interesting as it was in way back in June and July. But I'll keep you posted whatever is happening around the clubs so that I don't keep you bored. Now, the latest links have linked Arsenal to Hudson Odoi at Chelsea. Mikel Arteta reportedly is a huge fan of the English international. One player that I think should have gone to Borussia Dortmund, by the way. I'll tell you why. But he's been linked with Arsenal now in our pursuit for a new wide forward. We'll also talk about Rob Holding to Aston Villa. They are interested in him. I think their new signing, Diego Carlos, has picked up a long-term injury. Now they're looking at Rob Holding as a new replacement. I think that, in my opinion, that would be a very good buy for Aston Villa. Nicola Pepe is wanted at Nice on a season-long loan deal. We'll talk about Tielemans and the Granit Xhaka debate, and also Tierney wanted at Manchester City. All that and more is coming up at the show. On this show, hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 800 likes, and also in the comment section, let's get this done with, guys. We are Arsenal fans, and I think this one really concerns us. Now, there is a section of Arsenal fans that believe Granit Xhaka at the moment, he is absolutely flying, and there is no need for us to sign Tielemans. I will be very honest. I'm a very huge fan, a very big fan of Tielemans, but currently he's off form. He's actually underperforming, and in that game against Leicester City, I think Granit Xhaka was the better player. So a section of Arsenal fans believe you would rather spend our money. We would rather spend our money on other positions and let Granit Xhaka play another season, another long season in that central midfield role. My question for you on the show is: Have you come to agreement? Have you come to terms that Granit Xhaka should be playing, and there is no need for Tielemans signing this summer? Personally, I will tell you my verdict on that. But I need you to talk to me. I think Xhaka has been very, very influential when it comes to Mikel Arteta's style of play, and I think one of those few players that have actually mastered what the manager wants. All these limitations when it comes to his technical ability and how gifted he is put aside, he's a very hard-working guy, and I think Mikel Arteta appreciates him very much. So, should we forget about Tielemans and move with Granit Xhaka for another 38 games, and probably think about a backup to Thomas Partey, a wide forward, a right back, and also another centre back? Because all those positions we have to fill this summer. That is if we want to compete for silverware seriously this campaign. But let's start off with the Callum Hudson Odoi transfer links. They've been everywhere. I hope you've seen them. It's now 48 hours. I've been looking at them and I'm like, is it really true? Now, I understand Arsenal and Chelsea do have that kind of rivalry, and we do have that kind of derby beef. But we've exchanged players in the past. Ashley Cole going to Chelsea. Giroud going to Chelsea again from Arsenal. And we bought David Luiz from them and Peter Cech. So the exchange is, I think, it can happen. When Arsenal want a player from Chelsea, they can easily knock on the door and we can get him. Although they have not given us their best stylists, they've not given us their players in their prime, just like we did with Ashley Cole. So Callum Hudson Odoi, what are your thoughts on this one? I need you guys to talk to me about Callum Hudson Odoi. Is a player that interests you? Is a player that intrigues you? And is one player that you feel Arsenal can benefit from? He's one very, very tricky winger. I think his career is still very early, in his career. But the fact that he cannot, compete at Chelsea, then, for me, poses questions. Why aren't you competing in this Chelsea side with the likes of Hakim Ziyech, with the likes of Christian Pulisic, who are because Pulisic cannot be fit for whole season. Hakim Ziyech has already proven not to be one of the favorites of Thomas Tuchel. What exactly is the reason that Callum Hudson-Odoi has not taken up that position or any of the two positions on the flanks, for himself? What is the reason? Is it because he's not good enough? And that is why I want you guys to talk to me in the comment section. He is good, but is he good enough? Certainly good enough to drop out of Chelsea, but come to Arsenal and create an impact. Now, one problem I have with him is the problem I have with Reece Nelson. They can dribble, they can get past players, but their final contribution, their final ball is absolutely horrendous. Now, his best numbers came in the 2019-2020 season when he assisted 5 times and scored 1 goal in almost 25 appearances for Chelsea. I think, to be honest, it is not yet good enough. But also, it is very early for Callum Hudson-Odoi to be written off. So, first and foremost, it will depend how much Chelsea are willing, are going to ask for, especially when a rival like Arsenal is going to buy. If it is below 25, if it is 25 million pounds and below, I think it's a risky deal. But I would say Arsenal do that. I would be okay if we go in for Callum Hudson-Odoi for 25 million and below. But if the price is in the 30s, I will disagree. Because listen to me clearly. In the 30 million pounds, that amount of money gets you a quality winger. 30 million pounds, 35 million pounds gets you a player that will guarantee you 15 goals per campaign. I will talk about Pedro Neto. And actually, this is the point where we talk about Pedro Neto. Because intermediaries, Wolves, through intermediaries, have told Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal that at the right price, Pedro Neto will be available. Now, it remains to be seen what the right price is that Wolves are talking about. They've already told us that anyone interested in signing Ruben Neves will have to pay in excess of 70 million euros. And we know 70 million euros for Ruben Neves, not that good. But if they're saying 70 million euros for Ruben Neves, then you have to understand they will not go anywhere below 45 million euros for Pedro Neto. So should Arsenal pay 45 million euros for Pedro Neto? I think he's a player that I would say he's worth it. He might be worth it. Yes, we've not seen this kind of season where he comes in and he's and he's proven. But Pedro Neto, that one I would listen to, and I would be willing to pay and part with 40 million pounds for Pedro Neto than parting with 30 million pounds for Callum Hudson-Odoi. This is the difference. With Pedro Neto, if he comes in at Arsenal 40 million and it doesn't work out, I think you can sell him anywhere. He can go to Spain, he can go to Italy, he can go back to Wolves, he can go to Portugal, he can go to a couple of clubs. My problem with signing English players is when you sign them for a hefty fee and you give them these astronomical wages, it becomes very hard to move them on. I mean, I don't want to use very hard terminologies, but it becomes so hard to move them on. And that is my scare with players like Callum Hudson-Odoi. If you bring him at Arsenal for around 30 million pounds and it flops, how much are you going to sell him at? How much are you going to sell him for? You will be very lucky, first and foremost, to get a club that is interested in him outside Europe. Look, I'm not really saying English talent doesn't go beyond the boundaries. We've seen a couple of teams now, interested in English talent. But a player like Callum Hudson-Odoi, if he fails, the next destination is West Ham. The next destination is Nottingham Forest. The next destination is going to be probably Crystal Palace, and they're not going to give you huge amounts of money in a flopped Hudson Odoi. So I love him. I think Mikel Arteta has got that touch. He can turn a player's career around. He can touch a player's life around, and he can turn it. He can touch a player's life and can turn it around. But hoping at the moment is not our best solution. Hoping that a player comes in and becomes one of the best. The player comes in and becomes what we need is not our best solution at the moment. We want proven. We want players that we can rightfully so demand results from. I think with Callum Hudson-Odoi, it will take time for us to demand results. It will be more like us being required to give the sympathy vote to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Don't make any mistake. I would have wanted him to go to Borussia Dortmund because I think Dortmund and Arsenal at the moment are very, very similar. Not looking at winning the title, but looking at challenging. But for me, if Hudson-Odoi had gone to Dortmund, his career would have been a little bit better. Actually, I think he looks at Tammy Abraham now and he says, I wish I had gone to Dortmund the time when Tammy Abraham went to AS Roma. Because right now, Tammy Abraham is worth £67 million, and many clubs will not pay in excess of £30 million for Callum Hudson-Odoi. But for me, look, it depends how serious Arsenal are on this one. But if he comes in, one that can play for us on the right, on the left as well. It comes into that into that team with the same age bracket. He wants to prove a point. He's desperate to prove a point. And the fact that now Chelsea signed the likes of Sterling, they're looking at more wingers and they're looking at other players. It shows you that the future of Callum Hudson-Odoi is not bright at Chelsea. It's absolutely not bright. So are you okay with Callum Hudson-Odoi coming in at Arsenal? And if you're okay with him, what is the price we should pay? How much are you willing to spend on Callum Hudson-Odoi? And do you have belief in him? Do you have belief in him? Do you believe he can turn his career around and he can turn around at a club like Arsenal because any player that comes into Arsenal at the moment, they're literally going to have the energy. They will draw the energy from the rest of the players, and that is something that any player is actually going to benefit from when they sign for us. But Callum Hudson-Odoi, do we do the risky business? Will it pay off, or do we stay away from that? Now, Rob Holding is wanted by Aston Villa. Now, I understand that Aston Villa are losing Diego Carlos on a long-term injury, right? I think he's going to be out for 10 months. That is the worst nightmare of a player when they join a new club. He's still trying to fight for his position against the likes of Ezra Konsa and Tyron Mings and probably Chambers, and he's picked up a long-term injury. So what Aston Villa have said, they've decided that they will try to find a replacement, and Rob Holding is one of the guys that they're looking at this summer. Look, Rob Holding is my boy, by the way. He's my guy. When we signed him from Bolton, I think it was 1.5 or 4. I think it was around 1.5 or 2.5 million pounds when we were signing him from Bolton under Arsene Wenger. This is what I felt. I felt like it was high time such young talents started taking over at Arsenal. Now, I'm going to say I've been disappointed with Rob Holding. His ceiling was either overestimated or he's massively underperformed his expectations. I do not know what your thoughts are and what your opinion is on Rob Holding. And I would love you guys to get in the comment section and talk to me. Has he massively underperformed his expectations, or were the people in the first place that set his expectations, they set them too high? But let's talk about Aston Villa and the role Rob Holding plays at Arsenal. Currently, we have to agree that Ben White is naturally going to be the successor of William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, provided one of them picks up an injury. £50 million. It doesn't get. It's natural that he doesn't start ahead of Saliba. It's also natural that he doesn't start ahead of Gabriel Magalhaes. So it's going to be Ben White as the backup. He's going to be, the backup to Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. Rob Holding, after that horrendous, show against Tottenham Hotspur last campaign, he doesn't deserve Arsenal fans' trust. He doesn't deserve our trust. And however much I consider him to be one of my boys, one of my guys, I'll be very happy if he moves on to Aston Villa. I think they need him more, by the way. And as a player, I think he's turning 27, isn't he? He's turning 27. This is the time in your career where you want to go to a club like Aston Villa and prove a point. I don't see him making it to the World Cup squad. Of course, it is Gareth Southgate. So I won't be very surprised if Rob Holding makes it to the World Cup squad. But I think his ambition in his game is to put together a couple of minutes. Put together a couple of starts. Put together a couple of appearances for a Premier League side. Aston Villa is a club that is not going to be relegated anytime soon. So if Rob Holding goes there, probably pairs with Tyrone Mings or pairs with Ezra Konsa, it will depend on Steven Gerrard. He will get some decent minutes there, and that is, for me, that is what he's looking at. Newcastle ever wanted him. I think that was last summer, but one. And Mikel Arteta decided that he will stay. Brilliant move by Mikel Arteta, by the way. So I think in pecking order, he's no longer the guy. He's no longer in the favorite positions in pecking order. He just needs to move on. I think we need to move him on. Look, I think I'm so extravagant personally to let a player like Rob Holding leave because I have Saliba and Ben White and Gabriel Magalhaes. So if he stays at Arsenal, I will be absolutely okay with that. But in my opinion, he just needs to go. He needs to leave Arsenal and shape his career in another direction. But again, he might be thinking, if I stay in this Arsenal side for another 2 seasons, I will be able to win probably a Europa League title, probably another FA Cup, and that is okay with him. I think, by the way, you lads might not notice, but I think he has more FA Cup titles under his belt than any other Arsenal player right now, apart from Mohamed Elneny. I think apart from Mohamed Elneny, because how many do we have? Elneny should have won 2 or 3 under Arsene Wenger, and then the one under Mikel Arteta. So Elneny has around 4 FA Cup titles, if I'm not mistaken there. And then Rob Holding, I think he has 3, doesn't he? He has 2 or 3. So adding another FA Cup title, he has a Europa League semi-final under his belt. I think he'll be looking at everything there and says, instead of going to Aston Villa with no chances of winning any silverware, I will stay at Arsenal and I will be part of the team that wins the first piece of silverware, the first piece of important silverware for Arsenal in a very long time. But for me, what he needs is minutes under his belt. You do not want to be one of the players that retired at 38, retired at 36, and you've literally not played any consistent minutes. And at Arsenal, we've already seen it. He's not going to have those minutes, and he's not one of the important pieces in that puzzle. So Rob Holding to Aston Villa, honestly feel it's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move for player. It's a brilliant move for Aston Villa as well. Nicolas Pepe is another player that could leave Arsenal this summer. Nice is the club interested in him. They want to take him on a season-long loan deal, and can't disagree as well. It's a deal I cannot disagree to. I think it's a deal I'm inclined to agree to. It's a deal I'm 100% inclined to agree to. And this is the reason. I'm thinking Nicolas Pepe at Arsenal has not made any positive steps toward his career. He needs to to take a step back, and this is not in a bad way. I think Arsenal as a club have done that. When we were struggling, we took a step back, we lowered our expectations, and now we can dream again. That is what Nicola Pepe at 27 right now needs to do. Take a season-long loan deal to a club like Nice, outperform everyone in the French League, including Kylian Mbappe, if you can, and then you can dream again. You can dream again about playing for a big European club. You can dream again about having a huge money move. You can dream again about being, the most important player at a big team. Right now, just like Rob Holding, it is not the right time to be at Arsenal for Nicola Pepe. Now, I had a conversation with one Arsenal fan who told me that I don't like Nicolas Pepe because I love Bukayo Saka. This should go down in history on this channel. I do not hate Arsenal players. I only hate their performances, and I only hate their laziness, attitude, character, and letting the club down. I don't hate a single Arsenal player, even Granit Xhaka. I don't hate them. For me, it's the actions I loathe. It's the actions I hate, right? But when we think about Xhaka and we think about Pepe, these are two players that are in a very different position. I think both of them, if we move both of them on, I'll be glad. But with Nicola Pepe, I'm even sympathetic because look, fellow African, right? Fellow African guy. I want as many players in the Premier League from Africa, and that is selfish me. I want every team in the Premier League, 20 teams, to have at least a minimum of three Africans playing in the Premier League. That is 60 Premier League footballers from Africa. I'm okay, and I want more African footballers in the Premier League. So having Pepe at Arsenal plus Thomas Partey plus Mohamed Elneny plus whoever is is from Africa in that team, I don't have a problem with that. And I'm really glad that Africa is producing such talent on a global level. But at what expense? That is it. At what expense? 72 million pounds. You need to move him on so that you can get at least 20 million pounds back. That is one. The wages he's earning, he doesn't deserve it. Look, I think Mohamed Elneny plays less minutes than Pepe, but Mohamed Elneny's wages are way more better earned than Pepe's. Honestly. Elneny's wages include being a leadership figure in the dressing room. They include being a professional, a professional pillar in the team, and also they include being that kind of experienced guy that brings in quality performances whenever he's brought on. Doesn't matter whether he's gone 3 months without being subbed on or even starting, he will deliver quality. Nicola Pepe is the contrary. He is the mirror of Elneny. His attitude, his mood, his morale, they're just pulling the team down. So for me, Pepe going to Nice, good move for him as a player, and I think good move for him for Arsenal as a club as well. Now, Tierney is linked to Manchester City. Manchester City are failing to find a quality replacement to Alexander Zinchenko, and they've just thought Kieran Tierney could be the guy. My problem with Kieran Tierney is well known, and I'm very, very disappointed, by the way, that Mikel Arteta has not decided to name him even as a vice captain. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it. I thought he would qualify as a vice captain. The reason as to why he cannot be captain is literally because he cannot play 38 games in a campaign. He can't even play 35 games in a campaign. But it should be at least third leader. It should be the third guy in terms of the hierarchy to hold that armband. And literally, His Mikel said he won't be part of the hierarchy. Manchester City are interested in him. I worry. I honestly worry because if he goes to Manchester City, he knows there is a guaranteed Premier League win. There is hope to win the UEFA Champions League, and there is a guaranteed win for the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. Oh no, there is a guaranteed win to win the FA Cup when you're at Arsenal because we're the record holders, right? But my point here with Kieran Tierney is, can Arsenal convince him otherwise than moving him on? Because we need him. We desperately need him. Alexander Zinchenko will not play for us every game. We know how advanced he is. We know how unsolid as well he is. So in games where we play Liverpool, in games where we play Manchester City, Kieran Tierney should be playing at left back. More solid, better crosser of the ball. And also I think, in terms of defensive actions, he is the better player. So Kieran Tierney, however much I will understand his concerns, my boy, if he decides to move on, I would keep him. I would definitely keep him. And then lastly is the debate around Youri Tielemans and Granit Xhaka. So a section of Arsenal fans on Twitter have actually said that Xhaka should be staying and Youri Tielemans should join another side or stay at Leicester City until we can sign him on a free. Which side do I fall onto this one? I feel like I want to be the judge, and I'm going to be the judge. Get in the comment section and tell me which side of the coin do you fall onto. Xhaka stays and no Tielemans. Xhaka moves on and Tielemans comes in. I'll be very glad to be the judge on that one. In the comment section, talk to me about it. So that's it from me in terms of the latest Arsenal transfer links. I will be back later on to discuss the latest around our clubs. With our club, we'll talk about the DMs that you guys chose in the comment section yesterday. But for now, have a blessed afternoon, and I will see you soon.